Once again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors in honor of the engagement of Talia Nitzani to Josh Hajibai. Baruch Hashem, they should build the Beit Nama Yisrael, and the rest of the singles should follow. And we should have a lot of engagements and weddings, and filled with Shalom Bayit. This week's Parashat is Parashat Mishpatim. Mishpatim has arguably one of the most count, meaning number of mitzvot in the Torah. Not arguably, there is top 5 in terms of specific number of mitzvot in the Torah is Mishpatim. And it's a continuation, says the Ramban, it's a continuation of last week. Last week we had the Divre, the 10 commandments, or the 10 sayings rather, the fundamental when the Torah was given. The Ramban explains that this was also given there. This was also given then. These are an extension of what was given at Har Sinai. And it gets into specific details, interpersonal details that we think don't apply to our lives today, but were very applicable 2,000 years ago when the Torah was given. More, 3,000 years, 3,500 years ago when the Torah was given. Talks about slaves, talks about repayment, if my property causes damage, if I got hurt, if I caused harm, how does that work? All of these laws are mostly found in this week's parasha. But in Aliyat Chamishi, there's another very important line that applies very specifically to all of our lives today as well. Pasuk is Midevar Sheker Tirchak. From the matter of lying, I'm translating word by word literally, you shall distance yourself. Or in normal English, distance yourself from lying. That's this week's parasha. Off the bat, unique question. Since when does the Torah command us not to do something, but doesn't say don't do it? Rather, distance yourself from it. For example, does it say distance yourself from Lashon Hara? Or it says don't speak Lashon Hara. Why is it saying distance yourself? Or distance yourself from non-kosher food? No.
Sometimes you have to
don't
lie.
Eat non-kosher food.
Sometimes you have to lie to protect yourself.
Good. So one answer is sometimes you need to lie. Sometimes you have to lie to protect others. A white lie. That's one approach. I want to take it another say.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, of course.
Let's say these couples that they don't want anyone to know about them. To what extent are they allowed to lie to like their family or friends?
It's a great question. I'm going to take it to this point. We'll keep it open-ended because I'm going to speak about that at the end. I want to get into and further explain the question and then explain what's going on. So we have this idea of distancing yourself from lying. I'm going to bring a story from the Gemara, a fascinating story with a Mora named Rav. In the Gemara, Rav teaches us how careful we have to be not to lie, how dangerous and how corrupt lying is, how much we have to avoid it, to what extent we have to avoid lying. Rav was married to a woman, and somehow they were married, and for some reason she was extremely, again, it's not my opinion, it's what the Gemara tells us, she was a horrible wife. Why a horrible wife? Everything Rav asked for, she did the opposite. Everything. His wife would, not, I can't call her horrible, but would really bother him. When she asked for lentils, she would make beans. When he asked, can you please make me dinner? I want schnitzel, she made gondi juice. I want gondi juice, she made schnitzel. Never listened to what he asked for. Off the bat, I always ask, why did they stay married? But that's not the point. They stayed married. Okay? Kishegadal Chia beno, Rav had a son named Chia. When he got older, his father, Rav, asked Chia, can you go to mom and say, I want adashim, I want lentils for dinner? So Chia, what did he do? He knew, picked up on what's going on. He realized that his mom never listened and always did opposite of what my dad wanted. They're married. So he said, you know what? Dad wants lentils. So let me go tell mom that dad wants these beans. Or dad wants schnitzel. Let me tell mom she wants gondi juice. He wants gondi, he wants kebab. And I know, and she'll make the opposite, which will be what he wants. But that's what he does. He went, he changed. He said, by the way, mom, can you please make dad gondi, knowing that he wanted schnitzel, he asked for schnitzel. And what did she do? She did the opposite, and she prepared schnitzel, or in that case was adashim, lentils. All of a sudden, Rav goes to San Chia and says, whoa, Your mom all of a sudden had a change of heart. After so many years of marriage, she's finally listening to what I'm saying. She finally listened and made what I asked for. What's going on? Amar lo beno, Chia says, Dad, let me tell you what happened. I caused her to do what she wanted. You asked for lentils, I asked her to make beans, knowing that I told her that Dad wants beans, knowing she'll make lentils, so I got you what you wanted. Aren't I smart? You taught me good. Well, Dad, no? I learned how to play the system. What was his reaction? Rav answered his son Chia. He said, "En זה ראוי לעשות כן משום שנאמר לימדו לשונם לדבר שקר אף על פי שמותר לשנות מפני השלום עדיין חשו חז"ל לשקר." Rav answers his son and says, "Don't do that ever again." He reprimands him. He says, "Absolutely, I'm not appropriate. I don't like what you did. Don't do that." And even though the Torah says לימדו לשונם לדבר שקר, teach your tongues to speak lying, even though, like someone mentioned earlier, for the sake of shalom, to bring peace, to bring camaraderie between a husband and a wife, brothers, parent and son, whatever the relationship is, you're allowed to. It's not called lying, but it's mishanim leshanot b'nei shalom. You can change the truth a little. You can bend the truth a little for the sake of peace. That's mutar. Nevertheless, Rav reprimands his son and says, "I don't like what you did. Don't lie. Never lie. It's not appropriate to lie. Even though you got what I wanted, don't do it ever again." And Rav's teaching us how dangerous and how far we have to avoid and distance ourselves from lying. Now, there are many other stories that come up, but I want to expand this to not just is there a prohibition to lie. The Torah, it's prohibited from the Torah, don't lie. But it's also within that prohibition, there's also a prohibition to exaggerate. As kids, it's hard to teach a middle schooler or elementary school kid or even a high school that's not mature, don't exaggerate, because they're not mature enough to understand what that means. But for us, young adults, professionals, even exaggerating something we have to avoid. Within the realm of midevar, sheker, tirchak, within this realm of distance yourself from lying, don't lie, is also don't exaggerate. Don't exaggerate and make something much bigger than it actually is. There's a crazy story of someone who came to his rabbi and explained to him crazy things that happened. Crazy story that no one ever heard of. Obviously exaggerated and obviously not true. How great is this guy's memory? Why? Why is he praising this kid? This guy came and lied and made an exaggerated story that obviously not believable. Why is he praising him? Someone knows what happened 20 years ago. Someone knows what happened 50 years ago. This guy remembers something that never existed, never happened. He was saying it in a joking way. But the same idea that I was teaching his students was, it's an obligation for parents to teach their children, don't even exaggerate. Don't take something and make it bigger. Even that is of the realm of lying. Even that is of the realm of not being true. And unfortunately, that is very applicable. That's very common. I'll give a classic example. Classic example of that is a father wants to char, quote unquote, their son or their baby to go to sleep. If you go to sleep right now, you get a huge surprise tomorrow morning. Why would you say that? And he wakes up tomorrow morning and there's no big surprise, it's a bowl of cereal. But don't do that. Don't exaggerate. It's the parents also. And this is where I want to explain it and where I want to drag it into our lives. The significance and the dangers of lying. Why does the Torah specifically use distance yourself from lying as opposed to anywhere else when it says Lo tevashel gidi b'chalev imo? Don't cook a goat in a calf in its mother's milk. Don't do it. Don't cook meat and milk together. It's clear. It doesn't say distance yourself from mixing meat. Don't do it. How come by this it's distance yourself from lying? Because the dangers of lying can corrupt and it can ruin any relationship. I'll start with the most basic one. A husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. The entire relationship is built on trust. When you start dating, whoever's in that stage, or when you're engaged, whoever's at that stage, whoever's married at that stage, whoever's had for many years, whatever stage of the process you're at, the foundation of the relationship is trust. Is complete, unilateral, no ifs, no ands, no buts, trust. It's completely, I'm on you and you're on me. And why? What can ruin that trust? The easiest way to ruin that trust, I'm not even talking about extreme examples of, God forbid, cheating and doing things that are inappropriate. God forbid, it doesn't apply to us. I'm talking about simple things. Lying. Veering from the truth. Someone that is known for not telling the truth. That is a major threat to any healthy relationship. And these things are some things that we work on before we think about dating. I have no idea who I'm talking to. I mean, I know you guys all. But I don't know where each one of you guys are in your lives. Some people might have been trying to date for 5 years. Some guys haven't even thought about it. I still have to make some more money. Some guys are in the middle. But how can you make sure that in 20 years from now you'll be a happy relationship? Is start fixing and working on those values from now. Start applying and growing. And we're not talking about in terms of religious. We're talking about making yourself a good person. Perfecting yourself. Fixing yourself, preparing yourself for that day in X amount of years. So this week's parasha speaks about lying, so we're going to speak about lying. Distance yourself from lying, God forbid. Why? Because the easiest way to lose trust is someone that doesn't keep their word. Someone that lies. Someone that is known for being a liar is a disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. We say it all the time, Shlomo Melech writes, Tov Shem Mishemen Tov. A good name is more valuable than good oil. We say this all the time when someone passes away. The importance of having a good name. But how do you build a good name? Good, this guy had a good name. What got him there? What gets us to have that pasuk on our grave after 120? That this guy had a better name than the most fine and precious oil, which was an expensive commodity. A good name is more valuable than the most money possible. All the wealth in the world, having a good name is more valuable. Especially in a business that, it's a memo business, for example. Forgetting about that. Having a good name is more valuable than anything else. How do you get there? So there's 1,000,001 routes to get there. But specifically a good name, someone that is honest, someone that has integrity, someone that has values, someone who is a liar, someone that is addicted to lying, and sorry to even say, someone that lies intuitively, meaning he's not even thinking about the fact that he's lying. It's unfortunately gotten to the point where it's subconscious. And unfortunately, there are some businesses now that are very popular that I don't know why, part of the business is they try to make each other fall and they lie to each other and they try to tell them this is a good buy when it's not a good buy. Baruch Hashem, in the diamond business and the jewelry business, it doesn't exist. No, we have a chat all together, all the mashadis. You have a new customer that wants to buy from you. I have no idea who he is. Put the guy's name in the chat, and if anyone who's worked with him says, yes, he's reliable, yes, he's good. That's what it means. That's what it means. Helping one another, not trying to make someone else fall so you think you can have an advantage like that. That's not how it works. If we believe that God gives parnasah, if God is in charge of all the money we make, which we all do believe, because anyone who's in business sees God's hand. Why did this guy decide to call me? Of all the customers, of all of the suppliers of my product, how did I get a hold of this? How did the customer find me? Or of all the tickets in the venue, why did my ticket sell? Go on the event before go on Ticketmaster or StubHub before the event. You'll still see tickets for sale. How did it happen that my ticket sold of the 5, 10, 15, 20,000, depending on the sports stadium, whatever you call it? Obviously, there's a Hashem factor here. There's a guy that can work 12 hours a day, and the guy who worked 5 hours a day, and there's clearly a discrepancy in how much money they make. There's a Hashem factor. You have to do your due diligence, but there's a clear Hashem factor here. We all believe it. So is it not possible that you can make your money and I can make my money, even if we're direct competition? Is it too hard for God to give both of us a good parnasah? So why do I now have to be the one that lies, puts myself out there, potentially ruins my name if I get caught by people. But even if I don't get caught by humans, ruin my name with God, why should I be the one that does that? Why should I be the one that can cause someone else to lose? God can give parnasah to all of us equally. It's a side point. That's why being jealous is so silly. Because me being jealous of someone else doesn't help my lot, doesn't help affect his lot. What helps your lot? Giving more charity, giving more, praying harder, doing more chesed, changing yourself that God makes you deserving of more parnasah. Being jealous, envying someone else what they have doesn't help. Working harder, spending more time in the office, more tefillot, that's what helps. But the same thing applies with lying. Lying doesn't help. I told him to buy this arena. Oh, he didn't know. Now I gotta buy more in this. That's not how it works. Next thing you know, something happens, that arena gets hot. Or this Four Nations tournament that everyone thought would be bad. It's the hottest thing. How would you have known? Because God decides, yes or no. God, Hashem's in charge. Hashem is dictating everything. Don't be the one that is the cause for someone else to stumble. Hashem can give him, Hashem can give you. And that's why it's midevar sheker tirchak. Distance yourself as far as possible. Go. But to wrap into what you were saying, when you began by asking, what about lying for the sake of shalom? We have scenarios that we just mentioned it, that you're allowed to change the truth to cause shalom. What was Aaron Cohen's specialty? Aaron was known for Ohev Shalom, Verodev Shalom. He loved peace and he pursued peace. How? He would pick up the phone, husband and wife got in a fight. He would go up to the husband in Kanisa or Aaron Cohen, whatever, in the Midbar, and say, I know it was difficult, I know she was stubborn, I know she did something wrong, but she told me she felt really bad, she was very sorry about it. Forgive her. Then he would quickly catch the girl and say, I spoke to your husband, he really regrets being annoying and angry. But forgive him. They come home that night and they both, wow, I forgive you also, and they make up. He didn't lie, because deep down they did. But he bent the truth a little. And that's okay. So that's why it doesn't say asur, because there's sometimes that you have to lie. For the sake of shalom, for the sake of peace. But tirchak, distance yourself from it. Why? Because don't let it be on your tongue. If you're accustomed to it, if you make it a habit, it's very hard to stop lying. And all of us have that friend that's the exaggerator, that lies, that blows things out of proportion. You don't trust anything he says. You can't believe him. The boy cried wolf. It's a basic story we learned when we were babies, but it adds so much truth to it. And that's something that we can control, and we can dictate the future from today. Every day, consciously think once, I'm not going to lie. Or I have the opportunity to lie, just don't say anything. I'm not telling you to come out and say the truth yet. We'll get there. But don't lie. Hold yourself back. Be honest. And why is this so important with relationships? Like I said, the foundation of every relationship is trust. Someone who's a liar, there's no more trust. But, speaking firsthand, I guarantee every really married couple can tell you this. Confessing to your spouse and being honest, making yourself vulnerable and putting yourself out there hurts. It stings, like when you take off a Band-Aid, that 1 second hurts. But then you're finally comfortable. There's no more annoying Band-Aid on my finger. And not only that, it heals fully and the couple grows from there. We mistakenly think that lying will help me in long run. I guarantee you it doesn't help anyone. Liars, it always get caught. For sure in the next world, in this world they also always get caught. No one can have a lie forever. And if they do have to cover up with another lie, and cover up with another lie, and another lie, and eventually all the lies blow up and now it's bad. Made a mistake? Confess it. Own up to it. Make yourself vulnerable to your spouse. Open yourself up. Show her that you're being honest. Show him that you're being honest. It'll hurt that moment, but you're going to shoot up afterward. You'll have a 2% drop and then a 150% spike. And then that's your new playing field. That's the new area. It's no longer down here. And these two, honesty versus lying, are complete polar opposites and have the complete opposite effects. You lie, you think you're winning. You You think, oh, I got away with one. You didn't get away with anything. It'll uncover. It'll be shown. And if you're lying, she's lying also. If you're completely honest, she'll be completely honest as well. It works both ways. That's why you distance yourself, because I don't want it to be accustomed to it. I don't want it to be on my tongue. I don't want to be able to slip and accidentally lie. So the Torah tells us in this parasha, distance yourself by saying. You got a question? Yeah. Why do people lie? It's a very good question. First of all, I don't know. But what I can think of based on just seeing what I've seen is it's easy. When you lie, it's an easy way out. You're scared of the unknown. You're scared to own up to what you did. You're scared to confess. If you just lie, it's an easy cover-up. But the problem is, it's not a fix. It's a cover-up. And the more you do it, the more you pile on. And eventually it's going to be one straw that breaks the camel's back and you're done. And from that point, it's much harder to come back from. Yeah. Are you allowed to lie to a non-Jew? It's a good question. There's a very famous question when it comes to, I don't know if this is exactly the same, but stealing from a non-Jew. Rabbi Chaim always quotes the Rambam and says, 100%, no questions asked, asur, forbidden to steal from a non-Jew. Now what about if the goy makes a mistake? If it's a taut goy, if the non-Jew accidentally makes a mistake, do I have an obligation to give it back or tell him? So maybe from the letter of the law, there's no obligation to go tell him and give it back. Taut goy. But Rabbi Chaim always says, in our generation, tell them. Own up to it. Say, by the way, you made a mistake. You slipped up. You gave me $4 back too much. Give it back. Because Hashem's in charge, he'll repay $4 elsewhere, or $4 or $400. Of course, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Give it back. Rabbi Chaim says, in our generation, always. There was a famous story, maybe 5-8 years ago. Someone bought a couch or something, and there was a mattress, and there was like 80 grand cash in there. It was a Jew on Craigslist. You don't know this story? And he called the guy, bro, there's 80 grand in here. And he gave it back. Yeah, I heard of this. And it was on Ellen or something, or one of these talk shows brought this guy and what are you doing? Why would you do that? He says, that's my religion. We believe in being honest. It was a major Kiddush Hashem. Rabbi Chaim quotes that story. He likes that story. He says, yeah, you don't know the story that the guy in the mattress found 80 grand or something like that. But it's the truth. That's an extreme example. And that guy had real emunah in Hashem and understood the severity of making Kiddush Hashem. So he went out of his way and made and sanctified God's name in this world. And he was honest. But it all stems from this pasuk. Midevar sheker tirchak. Yeah. Correct. That's definitely, it's not good to lie to a non-Jew. Definitely. Actively lying is on me. It's not to who the recipient is. It's not like Lashon Hara. We can't mix the two up. I have an obligation. Don't lie. Be honest. Be a good person. Avoid lying.
So obviously giving the money back is a good thing, but when you say not doing that is a bad thing, but is it unethical or it's not the right thing to do?
It's also Kiddush Hashem.
Yeah, it's a bit, you've sanctified God's name. Not doing it, is he an evil person? No, he's not an evil person. Really, by law, he probably is able to keep it. If you buy something and there's something in it, there's different laws. You have to look into law. I don't know exactly, but it's a good question. I don't know. He's not a bad person. It's just you could have an opportunity to be a good person. You have an opportunity for the story to be said about you. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
You're saying exactly what you're saying. Business, what's the extent that you can kind of go?
So it depends on the business. It's a very good question. To what extent can you exaggerate? You're trying to make a sale, Yani. Yeah, you're trying to sell a product. It's a great question. Because you think that if I bend and hide and bend the truth, you can fool someone into buying more. But honestly speaking, at the end of the day, God is the source of our parnasah. So if you're honest and you have integrity and you're transparent, you'll also win. So again, you're allowed to be a salesman, You're allowed to describe why this is good, but don't have a lab-grown diamond and sell it, or not, sorry, and sell it as natural. That's obviously blatantly lying. So it depends on the parameters and don't claim this gold is 14 karat white when it's 10 karat white. That's lying. You can't do that. There's other prohibitions about using false measures and false scales. Another thing is the scales if you're dealing with diamonds. Every carat, the smallest measurement, could be hundreds or thousands of dollars sometimes. Precious stones as well. Rubies, sapphires, every carat can be thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollar difference. Make sure your scale is scale. That's a separate mitzvah though. It's a derivative of that of lying, but it's a separate mitzvah in the Torah of making sure your scales are even and accurate. But it's a great question. There's no way to, it depends on the scenario, but you could be a salesman, but don't lie and say, oh, this ruby is, I don't know, from Colombia when it's really from lab grown. I don't know the business. I'm just saying you can't lie. You can say, you can look how beautiful it is, be a smart salesman, but don't lie. Yeah.
How does Hashem feel about, like, let's say, okay, just like for the sake of, like, the example, you're selling a product, and you have a customer, and there's like a detail on a product. I'm just gonna give like a diamond, for example. The diamond has internal grain.
Yes.
You give him the diamond, and there's no like, he doesn't ask you if it has this characteristic, but you don't tell him. If you omit, and let's say you're omitting a detail that's negative, is that like a bad thing?
So, if he asks for it, you have to give it.
No, I'm saying if
You're allowed to. We see marketing tactics all the time with that fine print. So you're allowed to market like that. You're allowed to put on email, say 1 carat stones with. Don't say that it's the internal grading. Yeah, exactly. If he asks for it, you have to be transparent. But you're not trying to trick him. You're being a salesman, and he has to do his due diligence to know what he's asked for. Yeah.
The question that he asked, you only gave the point of when you're selling something.
Yeah.
When you're buying something, it's not a lie. Let's say there's a price on it's $10.
Yes.
You give reasons why you should be $5. When you buy a product, you want to lower the price.
Correct.
It's not lying. It's his product that he's selling.
Correct. That's fine. You're allowed to underwrite a deal and think it's worth less. But you can't come to a store that does price matching and say, oh, I found this store 3 miles away that's selling the same bottle of wine for half the price. Match it. That's lying. You can't do that. There's a distinction. I'm allowed to underwrite a deal and assess the rent to be less or taxes to be more or my capex to be more, things that'll lower over the NOI. You're allowed to underwrite the deal however you want. He might laugh in your face. That's not lying. You can't actively go and you shouldn't actively go and lie and say, no, there's another deal over here that's worth less. Don't make stuff up. Be honest. Do the integrity. You can say it's worth less. And again, in these nuances, it gets very difficult. I'm not saying it's not hard, but the premise is all in this week's parasha, and it's the most applicable things to our lives possible, and it applies everywhere. It applies by work. It applies at home. It applies parents and children. It applies husband and wife. Everywhere it applies. And the bedrock of all of these is lying or not. If someone is capable to not lie and tell the truth and build a reputation of telling the truth, that reputation is much more valuable than any small sale you'll make. Or that shalom bayit that you'll have because you're both transparent and honest and don't hide from each other. That you can't put a price tag on that. That's it. That's the most valuable thing in the world. There are people that spend millions of dollars a year to have shalom bayit, on therapy, on this, on that, and this is a secret to doing it before you're even thinking about it. I don't even know who the girl's gonna be. But how can I guarantee shalom bayit? I'm an honest person. I don't lie. I make a mistake. I confess to it. I don't brush it under the rug. I don't cover it. I do something dumb. I confess to it. I make myself vulnerable, and it hurts at first. That's why people don't do it, because it's so difficult to do it. But once you habit yourself and you become a person that I don't lie, I do not say lies. Once that's your train of thought, then even when you do something silly and you confess to it, it's forgotten about much quicker, and you both grow from that point. You get closer together. The love builds. The relationship grows. And this all from a simple line, distance yourself from lying. And I think it's something that we can see from the parasha, apply it to our lives, and use that to grow from. Today, whether you're married or dating or starting to date or just out of a relationship or not even thinking about dating, whatever stage of life you are, if you're not even thinking about dating, you and your parents. Apply it there. If you are, you and your girlfriend. If you're engaged, you and your fiance. If you're married, you and your wife. If you have kids, you and your children. Don't lie. Don't exaggerate. Your word is extremely valuable. And we have to work on it. We have to get our word back. If someone wasn't thinking about it for many years, it's gone. But from today and on, work on it. Every day, subconsciously, one time a day, you want to say a lie, you don't say it. Or think before you say something. Think before you exaggerate, whatever it may be. And that's, I think, one of the many very applicable lessons from this piece of Parashat to our lives. I'm just going to end the recording now, but we'll continue the Q&A. Good luck, guys.